Guys, I was planning on mentioning Twitter simply to go over yesterday's hearing. It was an important hearing with Elon Musk's lawyers and, of course, Twitter's lawyers battling. And it definitely seemed, for those who listened, that Chancellor McCormick was taking no nonsense, and showing no mercy, really, to Musk's attorneys. Not that she was unfair in any way, but generally sort of, if you could almost say, kind of saying, well, really? Going with that argument? And it appears that we've already gotten a judgment from her. Remember, Musk's attorneys went into court with that, trying to have that counterclaim amended to add in some of the allegations from the whistleblower, Mr. Zatko, and therefore allow for increased, or I should say, further depositions and a pushing back of the trial. Now, I'm only seeing one headline so far, although I may be a little late here. Maybe there's more. But Reuters is reporting that the judge denied the request to delay the trial. Remember, it is set to begin October 17th in Delaware. It's going to be a 5-day non-jury trial. Chancellor McCormick is the key person here. She will make the decision as to whether, of course, Mr. Musk's argument that the presence of more bots on the platform and whatever they can prove, well, that's the key. What they have to prove will be enough to allow him to exit the deal. Many people believe that will not be the case, given the burden of proof he will have to have, which is not just that it was fraud, essentially, but that it is the equivalent to or exceeds the level of what we would call a material adverse effect. And you can see the positive response in Twitter shares. Remember, it's 5420, so it is still well below that. We shall see what happens. But, Sarah, an important moment here, because there had been an expectation. And again, I want to see more on the decision. I haven't seen it yet. But there had been an expectation that simply by virtue of making sure they had no basis for appeal, she might delay the trial a couple of weeks. Not a major delay, maybe just into early November. But apparently that is not going to be the case. I'm seeing other reporting here as well. No delay. I want to see what she's allowing for in terms of additional depositions.
So you're saying the takeaway from the market and what you witness is that she's not as favorable to the Musk side. No. I mean, a number of different comments from people were the Musk side was getting killed. She showed no mercy. However, and there was one key thing about Musk's mindset where there was some correspondence between him and Morgan Stanley, which is financing the deal. And he sort of indicated, well, maybe we can just take our time here, go more slowly, because it could be World War III. This was back in May. Because of Putin. Because of Putin and some comments. And, again, that goes to sort of mindset. So that is a win for the Twitter side. No delay. We will be there in Delaware October 17th at this point, pending something else that should come up. But when we first heard from that whistleblower, there had been an expectation, certainly, not just that they would obviously have a motion to amend the counterclaim, but that she would potentially allow for it. It doesn't appear to be the case. I guess it's a legit thing to want to delay a major deal, multi-billion-dollar deal, if you think there's going to be a world war, and with Putin speaking, but not illegal. It's not illegal. It's not on the contract. Yeah. It's not on the contract. Worries about things like that are not in there. So what you are obligated to is to fulfill the means of the contract. But you're right. But that then goes to the idea that, hey, it's not about what Twitter did. It's about the broader world that was giving him, Carl, obviously buyer's remorse, as we know Mr. Musk has certainly had. We'll see what comes from here. But again, Twitter, which we've covered very closely, up almost 4%. Carl, over to you.
I was going to say, David, between the message about World War III, the timing of this, the ongoing discussion about what would have been disclosed during diligence, but there was no diligence. I just wonder if you've ever seen an M&A transaction quite like this one.
No, never. And in fact, this will be a trial unlike probably any other, and of greater consequence perhaps as well, because the thought is at this point that if the judge were to allow Mr. Musk to exit, based on what we know, and again, we still have to wait and see, it would send a bad message to those who enter into such contracts. So it is going to be a very important trial. And yes, Carl, it is unlike anything I think we've ever seen. But that goes without saying when you're talking about Elon Musk, because he is kind of unlike anything we've ever seen as well.